you know, the animation process is a board-driven process in the feature world. In television, it's different. It's script-driven.
Yeah.
But it's still, there's something about the way it's visualized that's really important. And when it's just script-driven and you don't look at that other stuff, then it doesn't have the same magic for whatever reason. And when you look at Family Guy, like, that's a really funny show, but it's really about the voice characterization of Seth and his timing, which is like 1, 2, 3 frames, and he hits the table, and the table crashes, and then everything's still.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and same thing with Chuck Jones. Like, those are funny gags, but so much of it is about the timing and the drawings and, you know, the looks that the characters give. And you really have to remind yourself that it's a more visually driven medium, I think, than live action. So, the more you can show with an image, the better. And the more you can think about the physicality of the character and what they're doing in the scene physically, as opposed to what they're saying. Because I think that quippy dialogue stuff isn't so valuable as like a great emotional situation. And think of it like the silent comedians. You know, it's like coming up with simple situations that give you a lot of possibility, right? So Buster Keaton in, I think this is The 7 Chances, he goes and sits in, I might have this wrong, I think it's a different one. It might be, what's the one, I don't, what's the one called where he's the cameraman, he's trying to get the girl the newspaper, and he's like always running around. Yeah. Maybe it's The 7 Chances. I'm sorry, I didn't go to a real film school, so I don't remember the titles of movies. But
we can edit it in.
And just like literally loop it into my mouth, and I'll say, I'm gonna do it right now. Oh, I know what it was called. It's called
The Cameraman.
All right, so just loop it in. So he comes up. There's a situation where like he's at the bathhouse, or is it like the pool, and he has to get dressed into his. I think he's getting into his bathing suit, and for whatever reason, he's contrived it that he has to do it in the same room, tiny closet, as like his rival, who's like a big, beefy dude. And so the problem is, how do 2 guys change clothes at the same time in a tiny elevator, like closet space? Yeah. And then you just let him go to town. Right, he's a gifted physical comedian, and he tries to solve the problem in 3 or 4 different ways, and it's delightful. And so some of it, you have to account for that when you're working in animation. You know, you have to give the board artists, like a real, the latitude to solve the problem in like 10 different ways, but write a problem that's interesting enough that it can go through all those iterations. In animation, it's like dance. You're telling a story through movement, and it's always that. How to Train Your Dragon is not as good a movie if not for the amazing animation on the main dragon. And it's just like the sensitivity of that and how it moves and how it expresses itself, like, is heartbreaking.
The Cameraman. I'm just a lonely computer with no one to love. The Cameraman. Excuse me. The Cameraman.